She never varied the sound of that bell. It was always 10 rings, no more, no less, twice a day. I listened to it for 7 years before I became aware of her consistent but decidedly limited sense of rhythm. Yet it was my sense of rhythm she admired most. Well, it was one of the things. I thought it was my mind, until she started saying every time I was in earshot, "Wonderful sense of rhythm," and pointing in my direction. All I was doing was playing the piano according to the required tempos and hitting the designated notes. Could that be considered a sense of rhythm? She thought so. And I liked the idea that she thought so. Being spoken of as someone with a talent of sorts, especially in her eyes, gave me a certain position, and I suppose a certain amount of protection, even if at that time I had no idea that I was in need of protection. Her cloak, as it were, served its purpose for 7 years. It was that 8th year when everything changed. I hated her. The new one. That's what we called her, the new one. And I know that I was more than justified in my hatred, though no one agreed with me at the time.
He was the quintessential pet. Polite, well-liked, academically sound, only mildly gifted musically with a sense of rhythm that our Mother Superior, who adored him, attempted to turn into a legend. He was not what I expected to see, not what I had prayed for. No one warned me about him.
Nothing prepared me for what was about to happen. It all began with the names.
I am Sister Regina Ange. That's Ange, not Ange. Ange, understand?
Oh, we all got it right. Sister Regina Ange, no problem. But why did she insist on calling me
Eugenio.
in that voice when everybody else called me?
Jean.
Or Eugene. All the other nuns called me.
Jean.
Or Mr. Bonacorso.
But the records say Eugeneo. That's Eugenio in my book.
She was determined to change things.
And things should be kept as they were intended.
But my own mother called me Jean, and so did my friends.
I was opposed to change, and there I was, confronted with it on my very first day I started teaching. What was God telling me?
What kind of God was it made her a nun?
The sin of impurity always has its consequences.
Oh, the lectures were delivered daily after lunch.
Whether it be a mark on your immortal soul.
Always immediately after lunch.
Which can only be removed by the sacrament of confession.
As prescribed by the curriculum.
And an act of penance.
How many appetites would have been ruined if the lectures were delivered before lunch?
Now, can anyone tell me some of the other consequences that can result from an act of impurity? Who else might suffer?
Not one hand was raised.
Eugenio, have you no idea who might suffer from an act of impurity?
To this day, I can still hear the sudden intake of breath made by 2 girls sitting nearby.
Have you to commit a sin of impurity to suffer from it?
I noticed that no one was looking at me.
Well, Eugenio.
No, sister, I cannot think of anyone else who might suffer, unless you mean the sorrow that God feels whenever a sin of any kind is committed.
Sit down, Eugenio.
Something was being directed at me by more than one person in that room, and I had absolutely no idea what it was.
So remember, it is always the children who suffer the most.
And I had no idea how to find out what it was. That desperate silence gave me the darkest feeling my young body had ever experienced.
Most of you, possibly all of you, take your neighborhood for granted.
More lectures followed.
Your families, your homes, the people who surround you.
She was right. No one paid any attention to our neighborhood. We had the reputation for being
tough. But being tough is not the only thing that distinguishes this neighborhood. So, Eugenio, tell us why there are no Negroes here in St. Monica's Parish.
I said the first thing that came to my mind. I suppose there are no colored people at St. Because they aren't Catholics.
I'm not talking about the church, Eugenio. I mean the neighborhood.
Oh.
We, after all, have Protestant churches nearby, unfortunately.
I suppose Negroes don't want to live here.
No, Eugenio. Negroes don't live here because they are not allowed to live here.
Really? That's what I said with that degree of incredulity. Really?
Yes, really.
In the instant following the uttering of those two words, I realized she hated me, but I didn't know why.
There was something about his gleaming white shirts, combined with that pervasive smell of garlic, that irked me.
After 5 months of her insidious teaching methods, I worked up the courage to ask the nun who taught me how to play the piano why Sister Regina Ange didn't like me.
They had to be told, each and every one of them, what the world was really like.
I was certain that my music teacher, the nun that I liked the most, would ask me why I thought she didn't like me because she had never seen Ange in action in the classroom.
They were young, protected, with no experience of the world beyond their classrooms.
At least I thought she didn't see her in action. But all she said to me was, Eugene, just because we all wear the same religious habits doesn't mean that we're all alike. She already knew how Ange felt about me, but she wasn't about to tell me why.
When I was just about your age, I walked far from my neighborhood with a couple of girlfriends. We had no idea where we were. Suddenly, a woman started to call from the window, "Get them! Get them white girls! Get them ugly white girls!" And then more people came to the doorsteps and started shouting at us. We had to run as fast as we could. It was the most frightening experience I've ever had. And so you must never, ever go into a Negro neighborhood because Negroes are...
Savages! That was the word she used. Savages. Again, there was that odd stillness in the room, a feeling that something not quite right had just occurred. 7 years of being taught by nuns never gave you the opportunity to question anything you were told, so that when the time inevitably came to detect that something was wrong, we were in no way equipped to deal with it. We just sat still, which is what a good Catholic used to do best. I decided I no longer wanted to sit still.
There is a certain boy in this class.
I became someone who no longer had a name.
He will be going to a public high school.
I was the only one in the entire class going to a public high school. Everybody knew that. How did I suddenly become a certain boy?
He will be associating with Jews. He will lose his soul. He will become a communist.
That had its desired effect. Jews, communists, two of the biggest fears you could have in 1952. No, there was no lack of oxygen. Only a very audible ooh and a lot of shocked expressions.
We can only pray for this boy's immortal soul.
Oh, and how were they to do that if she didn't mention my name? Pray for his immortal soul. That expression was nothing more than a signal for disguised hatred, and she wondered why I wanted to leave the hallowed halls of Catholic education.
Hey, Eugenio, could you come here for a moment?
Oh, it was in the schoolyard right after lunch. We're waiting for that bell to ring. A few days, a few months, a few weeks before the spring break, a few weeks before freedom. Yes, sister.
Hey, Eugenio, our Mother Superior is always mentioning your wonderful sense of rhythm. Are you part Negro?
She asked that as calmly as you would ask for the time of day. Classmates nearby were visibly embarrassed. I couldn't understand why she would ask such a question. I shook my head and quietly said, "No."
I could see the rage in his eyes, the quivering lips.
The stares in the afternoon class were constant, not hostile, only quizzical, and they were coming from faces that I'd known since kindergarten. Faces that suddenly didn't seem to know me at all. No matter how young you are, you can sense when something around you is crumbling, even when there's no motion. It was terrifying.
Watching him quiver was so out of character. He often seemed almost fearless. I believe he was the only student who was allowed to take public transportation into town.
Errands. I ran errands for my mother.
What parent allows a child to do that? Errands on public transportation?
It was just the two of us, me and Mom. She couldn't always get away from doing the laundry where she worked to get the bills paid.
Evidently, he could breeze through any neighborhood in the city without worrying about being attacked.
Well, the streets were so much safer then.
The streets were safer for him. So safe, in fact, that our pastor allowed him to take the deposit from the weekly collection to the bank a few blocks away.
They had me running all kinds of errands, the nuns and the priests. I enjoyed the responsibility. I enjoyed the sense of
confidence it gave him.
Well, one day I did say to Father Farrell, maybe sending somebody my age to the bank with so much money was a little bit risky.
Who would think a boy 12 years old would be carrying so much money?
What they had attempted to give me in those first 8 years, she was trying to destroy. But she was trying to destroy something else.
I have always firmly believed that a call to the religious life, a vocation, is a call from God. I knew God would not call anyone who would harbor feelings of hatred unless such feelings were needed to protect. My
mother had just run the last sheet through the wringer of the washing machine and laid it in the laundry basket. When I said, "Guess what Sister Regina Ange asked me?" What, she said. She asked me if I was part colored. My mother had already lifted the basket. She stopped and then put it down slowly. Without turning to look at me, she said, "You are." I watched her pick up the basket and walk quickly into the yard to hang the sheets.
Everything had to be protected. The church, the neighborhood, a change of complexion was unthinkable.
The sight of our blazing white sheets falling off the clothesline looked like a tent being dismantled. She collapsed. From the kitchen, I could see Mom on her knees with the sheets spread before her, as though her wedding gown had suddenly become undone. I knew there had never been a wedding.
She thought she could protect him by giving him that obvious Italian name, Eugenio.
I knew, but of course it was her name. Eugenio came from Pacelli. Eugenio Pacelli, Pope Pius XII.
And the other nuns, even the priests, thought they could protect him by never mentioning his origins.
She couldn't stop sobbing. All I could do was hold her and say, "It was all right. It's all right." It didn't make any difference.
But it made a difference to me.
Nothing seemed to help.
God would not have allowed me to feel such loathing unless it had a purpose.
All those years of determined silence.
They were wrong.
Encouragement.
Inflicting a disguise
Nourishment.
on something that should never be disguised.
Love.
To protect what?
Only an innocent kid.
It is always the children who suffer the most.
Oh, and there's always somebody there to make sure that they do.
There was a certain boy in this class.
I didn't hang around for graduation.
He left St. Monica's before our graduation ceremonies, even though he would have graduated at the top of his class.
How did I go from feeling so totally accepted to wanting to flee some unspecified danger, all the things that were never spoken?
He is the only one of you lost to Holy Mother Church.
As kind, as hardworking as my mother was, I wanted to flee my own mother.
We can only pray for his immortal soul.
Mom simply did not have the strength, the courage to stand up to the consistent rhythm of that damn bell.
Your friend didn't show up again? What? Your friend didn't show up again? What's that, the third time in a week he's done that?
Do I know you?
Huh? Your missing friend doesn't either.
Then how?
I couldn't help watch you for over a month now.
Really, what were you doing? Hiding in the bushes?
No, just sitting over there.
And why didn't you stay over there?
Well, when your friend didn't show up for a third time, I got curious.
Curious?
Yeah.
Are you always this...
Forward? Yeah, I've been called that before. Forward, too smart for my own good, a smart ass.
How old are you?
16.
16. You hustling?
With these books, sitting here taking notes, do I look like a hustler?
Well, not your typical.
No, I'm not a hustler. Was your friend a hustler?
Did he look like a hustler?
No, I guess not. And he didn't look that much older than me.
Not much. But I think he was a bit of a hustler.
How long?
2 years. We saw each other for 2 years.
Then he must have been about my age.
No, he was older. 18, he's 20 now. I do not rob cradles.
Gee, why not? Could be fun. I've been robbed from my cradle a lot.
I'm sure you have, but not here. This isn't exactly the cruisiest place in town.
That's why I like it. I come here to get my work done. And if the weather's bad, I just run into the library. I do my cruising at the Y.
Central Y.
I
go there.
know.
I've never seen you.
Yes, you have.
When? I thought you said we'd never met.
Oh, we haven't met. You were staring at me one Saturday afternoon a few months ago.
I do not stare at anyone, and I certainly don't stare at boys.
You sure do when they're doing flips on the Roman rings.
Oh. Yeah. You look different.
I hope so. I'm fully clothed.
And very nicely, I might add. Who does your shirts? I don't think I've ever seen a shirt so white, so crisp.
My mother.
How did you get so skilled on the Roman rings?
I'm on the gym team at school.
And where's that?
Central.
Ah, I'm impressed.
With the school or its gym team?
Both. I wouldn't have said I was impressed if you were on its football team.
Yeah, they're pretty bad.
Nick 1, Pearl 2, Central High, woohoo!
Yeah, Jews don't make good football players.
You think so?
I know so, I tried.
You Jewish?
Yes. You?
Italian, mostly. Colored. God only knows what else.
You're kidding.
No, I'm not.
What's your name?
Gene Bonacorso. Yours?
Fred.
You don't have to tell me your real name. You can make one up if you like.
It's Skolnick. Fred Skolnick.
Pretty sure he didn't make that up.
No. Bonacorso, your father married a colored girl?
Are you nuts? Italian boys don't marry colored girls. Well, none that I know of, anyway. My mother's Italian. I never laid eyes on my father.
You say that so casually.
I've had a lot of practice. I get asked that question often.
In your neighborhood?
No, not where I live. I've been living in the same neighborhood all my life, and only one person ever asked what I was. Guys at the gym will ask.
At school?
No, at the Y. Guys at school don't care. They've known me for 3 years. They only care if you have any brains or not.
Yes, well, that is the most important thing at Central.
So what do? Fred Skolnick.
Sales?
Yeah, what?
Zippers. I sell zippers. I've been waiting for someone to laugh about that since I got the job, but I didn't think it would be a kid.
I mean, gee, Fred, you gotta admit, a guy who likes guys selling zippers.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you kind of laughed. Guess I better...
Oh, don't go.
I've seen kids your age work the streets.
I'm not working the street.
No, but you're working that bench and the Y.
You said this isn't the cruisiest spot in town.
No, it isn't.
So why would I work it if I were working anything?
You were here.
You were here. You and your friend have been coming here for a month. I've been coming here for 3 years, and you're the first person I've spoken to.
You own that bench?
No, but I sure as shit ain't working this bench or any other bench.
That's terrible language for a Central student.
I can do worse.
I'm sure you can. A kid your age cursing like that.
Oh, fuck. It looks like we're having our first fight.
Oh, what the hell does that mean? Our first fight? Jesus Christ.
Not nice taking God's name in vain.
You're really something else, you know that?
Well,
And what the hell are you writing there? You can't be doing homework and talking to me at the same time.
yes I can.
Come on.
Dates, if you must know. Dates. History. It helps me to remember them if I write them down.
I see.
Do you object to not having my full attention?
Oh, I think having your full attention might be pretty damn terrifying.
Well, why don't you take a chance and see where it goes? There. That's the end of those dates. Would you like to make a date?
Oh, see, that's exactly what I mean.
What?
I'm not even that aggressive and I'm an adult.
Well, that's one of the things I like about you, Freddie.
Oh, don't do that. Don't ever call me Freddie.
Okay.
And what does that mean? One of the things you like about me. When did you ever get a chance? Oh, that's right.
Yes. The why.
Do you check out everyone?
Everyone checks out everyone. Even guys who don't like other guys check each other out. That's what men do.
I don't stare at underage boys.
You do when they're on the Roman reign.
That was a thing of beauty.
It's one of the reasons why I'm on the gym team at school.
Why? Something tells me I shouldn't be asking this question. Why are you cruising me?
Are you serious?
Yes,
Right. Have you looked in a mirror lately?
when I shave.
Have you seen yourself naked?
You mean do I stand in front of a mirror? No.
Have you noticed guys at the Y looking at you?
Sometimes.
How long have you been messing around with guys?
Not long.
How long?
A couple of years.
How old are you?
I'm 31 years old. Do guys at the Y get you to go to bed with them?
What do you think?
That's what I was afraid of. You're underage. 16 is underage.
Tell my body that.
The men at the Y should keep their hands off you.
You asked if they get me to go to bed with them.
Uh-huh.
It's always the other way around.
What does that mean?
It means I have to get them to go to bed with me. It's never my bed, of course. It's always theirs, and it's always my idea, and it's always hard work.
But they're not saying no.
Yes, they are. At first. Sometimes it takes months to get a man into bed.
You might have better luck with boys your own age.
Ugh, I have no interest in guys my own age.
Why not?
Well, to begin with, they don't kiss. They really don't know how to suck cock.
Oh, holy shit!
Why so shocked? That's what we do, isn't it?
Yeah, well...
And you're either good at it, or you're not.
And you, are you... No, I'm not asking that.
I think sucking cock is an art form. Anyone who's had their cock sucked by someone who's good at it knows it's an art form.
When I was your age, 16, I knew nothing when I was 16.
Times have changed.
No, they haven't. What you regard as an art form is still considered abnormal, not to mention...
Illegal, I know. But only by people who aren't doing it. And by those who don't admit to doing it. Look at you, it took you, what, 30 years to admit what you wanted?
Almost that.
You're the second really good-looking guy I've met who's been wearing blinders most of his life.
And what woke you up at such an early age?
Intuition, I guess. And a need to get out of the neighborhood.
Why did you feel you had to get out of the neighborhood?
Felt I didn't belong there.
But you're still there, aren't you?
Only to eat and sleep.
Do you feel you belong at Central?
Sure, there's plenty of us at Central. It's a very brainy school. I would have gone nuts at Southeast Catholic, or oh, even worse, Southern. Ugh.
Oh, you think there are no gay kids at Southeast Catholic and Southern?
What kids?
Gay. Gay kids.
Is that what you call kids who are homosexual? Gay kids?
That's what homosexuals are called, gay.
Who calls them that?
Homosexuals!
You mean that's what they call themselves?
Yes.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Gay? Gay? What?
You've never heard that term before?
No, I haven't, and no one I've ever known has used it.
Well, what have you been calling yourself all this time?
Gene. What have you been calling yourself before you discovered you were gay?
A mess.
A mess, what is that, Yiddish?
A mess. A fucking mess.
Oh. God, wait till I tell the guys at school what we're called gay. Oh, I hate that. It sounds so queer.
And what would you rather be called?
Emperor Eugenio Bonacorso.
I haven't laughed that hard in a long time.
Well, Fred, you might not be hanging around enough gay people. So, when are you going to take me home?
Oh, that is never going to happen.
Sure about that?
Yes, I am very sure about that. How long have you been at this?
3 years. See, I got you beat by 1.
I don't make it with underage boys.
Then why are you still sitting here?
Because this is one of the weirdest encounters I ever had in my entire life. Because you're so sure of yourself. What makes you so sure of yourself?
People staring. You're not even aware when you're on the receiving end of stares. I've seen guys at the Y practically foam at the mouth over you.
I've never seen that, never.
I know you haven't. I've watched you. You don't even look at guys.
I think it's rude. And I'm afraid I might look at the wrong guy.
Yeah, I guess we're all afraid of that.
Have you ever looked at the wrong guy?
No, not really. I have started conversations with guys who were staring at me for weeks, but then they got kind of nasty.
Nasty.
Yeah, like, what do you think you're doing? Who do you think you are? That kind of shit. You look at me at the gym for weeks, staring at my cock in the pool, and then when I talk to you, you give me the, what are you doing? What the hell? Asshole.
I would have done the exact same thing. You're a very frightening young man.
Yeah, I guess I am. But you'll talk to me here, not at the Y.
I wouldn't want to be seen talking to you. How would that look? I'd look like
A cradle robber, I know.
It's just not right. What about the guys you do go to bed with?
What about them?
Why weren't they frightened of you?
They had to get used to me, I guess. And I had to get used to them. I sure as hell won't go to bed with anyone I'm not comfortable with.
Do you have sex with them regularly?
A few of them. Depends on how we feel, timing, I guess. Most of them have become friends.
Friends. What kind of friendship could a grown man have with a teenager?
kind of friendship that's based on the same interests.
Oh, you know men my age who are gymnasts.
I know men your age who are into film,
Film? Not movies?
theater, museums, literature.
No baseball, no football, basketball?
Those are not the kind of balls they're interested in.
Oh, yeah, I guess so.
What are you interested in?
Museums, theater, literature, and of course, film.
That was not very nice.
No, it wasn't, was it? I'm sorry.
I'm not the one who didn't show up today.
No, you're not.
You really don't have anyone to talk to, do you?
Do you?
Yeah, sure.
That's right. You go to Central. You seduce men at the Y. Your conversations are probably already legendary.
Are you one of those guys who thought you were the only guy in the world who was attracted to other guys once you realized you had those feelings?
Yes. Yes, I was. Well, and you didn't?
No! I own a dictionary. I was 12 when I looked up the word homosexual. And I knew if it was put in the dictionary, it wasn't put in there just for me.
Why does a 12-year-old come into contact with the word homosexual?
When one of the parish priests makes every possible attempt to suck my cock.
What?
Yeah. There was this priest, Father Murray. He was always trying to get me aroused. Said that if I got aroused, maybe I was a homosexual. But when I said, hey, what's a homosexual? He said it was a secret. Just like trying to get me aroused with some big secret. That ugly old fart probably thought I didn't know how to spell.
You're making this up.
No, I'm not. He was a real pain in the ass. Why, if he were good looking, I mean, come on, that'd be a different story. Why couldn't he look like Johnny Weissmuller or Johnny Sheffield?
Who's Johnny Sheffield?
Bomba, the Jungle Boy! And he played Tarzan's son. Lucky kid.
I thought you weren't interested in boys your own age.
Johnny's an exception. Once he got to be Bomba.
So are you. An exception. But you're dangerous.
No, I'm not.
You do realize men go to...
No one has ever gone to jail for going to bed with me.
But it could happen.
It won't.
What about the crazy priests?
Priest. It was one goofy priest. The rest were fine. The pastor gave me a lot of confidence.
Well, good for him, but that one priest could still end up in jail.
He's a priest, for Christ's sake. They don't do anything wrong. Nuns never do anything wrong. You sure as hell aren't Catholic.
Oh, and what the hell does that mean?
You think the police are going to do anything to the Catholic Church? That's not possible. Priests do whatever they want. Nuns too. They can say what they want and make you feel like shit when they do it. That's why I left.
Did the priest do that to you?
No, it was a nun. Ugh. This nun who knew just what to say and knew how to make me feel like shit when she said it.
What if he did that with kids who aren't?
Homosexual?
Yeah.
That would be horrible. Like forcing me to have sex with a girl. Revolting. Frightening, even.
How did you figure all this out at such an early age? Even as an adult, I buried everything, but you're like
What?
I don't know what, but whatever it is, it scares me.
Okay.
Okay, what?
Okay, you're scared. Nothing I can do about that.
Do you enjoy shocking people?
I enjoy talking to people, do you?
No. No, I don't enjoy talking with people, and nobody's ever asked me that.
Must be difficult for a zipper salesman not wanting to talk to people.
Selling is not talking.
No?
No, it's different. It's not this.
Well, what did you talk about with your friend of 2 years?
Stuff. Oh, we talked about stuff.
What kind of stuff?
The kind of stuff interior decorators talk about.
Is that what he is?
That's what he's studying to be. For 2 years, I listened to him talk about the furniture, draperies, upholsteries, tchotchkes.
Well, it kind of outweighs zippers, doesn't it?
Yeah, I guess that's why he hasn't been here in 2 weeks.
Have you tried phoning him?
I can't. He lives with his family.
I have the same problem. No one can phone me. Some of the guys, though, the ones who live alone or with their lovers, I have their numbers.
You know guys who live together.
A few? Are you surprised?
Not really. It's just you seem to have more of a social life than I have.
Well, if you start talking to people, things might pick up for you.
I've always felt so damn awkward, different, removed. You probably have no idea what that's like. That was a pretty dumbass, insensitive thing to say, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
I'm sorry.
Don't apologize. It's like a good laugh you're giving me.
Do you laugh a lot with your friends?
Yeah, sometimes. Although, I've come across some real dumbass shit because of my background. People ask, they usually want to know what nationality you are.
But with your name, people would assume you're Italian. You look Italian.
Yeah, but there's always some dumbass question. Have you ever eaten spaghetti?
No one's ever asked you that.
Yes, somebody asked me that.
What was he thinking?
Who said it was a guy?
I just assumed it was one of the guys you met.
It was the mother of a buddy at school. She's a lesbian.
The mother of a buddy from school admits to being a lesbian?
Okay, she doesn't have much choice. We're talking serious butch here. She makes Gabriel Heater sound like Ema Sumac.
Who's Ema Sumac?
Boy, you really don't get out much at all, do you? Ema Sumac! She's an Inca princess, so she says, has an 8-octave range, so she says, does bird calls.
How do you know all this stuff?
I'm homosexual, I'm supposed to know this stuff. What reason do you have for not knowing it? Too busy selling zippers?
I listen to jazz mostly.
No musical?
No.
Have you ever been to a musical?
Only movies.
Not in a theater, live?
No.
Are you sure you're Jewish?
Yes, I am certain of it. I did not come from a typical Jewish family. Well, you sure as hell didn't come from a typical anything.
Why do I get the feeling I'm having more fun than you've ever had?
Because you are. You are having more fun.
I can think of one way to eliminate the absence of pleasure in my life.
Oh, you are relentless. Absolutely
No,
relentless.
I'm not sex. I'm not talking about sex.
Oh, you're having a change of heart?
Look, when I first saw you with the Y, I thought, oh my god, great eyes, lips. And then I saw you in the shower.
Oh, okay, that's enough of that.
See, that's why I never approached you with the Y. You would have run away and never talked to me again.
You're right, that's exactly what I would have done.
But here it's okay, no witnesses.
Witnesses, perfect word considering you want me to commit a crime.
I want you to meet some people you can talk to. Friends of mine.
Teenage homosexuals and lesbians? I don't think so.
I have good, kind friends. And not many of them are all that interested in stuff. Although some of them might be interested in your zipper.
Oh, and now he's trying to fix me up. Do men you go to bed with introduce you to other men who want to go to bed with you?
No, I've never had that happen. Yet. I suppose if someone were to introduce me to somebody else and I happen to like him, it'd be alright. But for now, I'm perfectly capable of finding my own victim.
Victims?
It's a joke, for Christ's sake. Blanche Dubois, the tarantula arms, that's where I took my victims. Oh, forget it.
What the hell are you gonna be when you grow up?
A trapeze artist.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I'm gonna run away and join Raymond Brothers and Barnum and Bailey. A world where you can be a real clown. Where almost all nationalities are present. Where nobody cares what nationality you are. Where you do a job that makes the world smile. Can you think of anything better than that?
20 minutes ago, I was thinking you're the weirdest kid I ever met. Now I know you're the weirdest person I ever met.
You know a lot of kids?
No.
You know a lot of people? Have a lot of friends?
No.
Then you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, do you?
Holy shit. You're going to one of the best public high schools in the country, and you want to be a trapeze artist.
It's what I want to be, it's not what I will be.
And what will you be?
A hairdresser.
You're kidding. I know you're kidding.
I don't know what I'm going to be when I grow up.
Well, you should start thinking about it now. Do you like school?
Hate it. Except for gym.
That attitude's going to affect your grades.
My grades are good. I'm just bored all the time.
Well, when are you not bored?
Right now. I'm not bored at all.
Thanks, but they don't teach this in any school.
The Greeks did. But you would think nothing of his face, he replied. If you could see his naked form, he is absolutely perfect.
And that is?
The beginning of Plato's first dialogue.
Ah,
The only part I really understood.
it figures.
Are you bored? Right now?
No, I'm too terrified to be bored.
See, we're probably a match made in heaven.
Oh, how do you think of such things? I would never even think of saying that to someone, even if I was thinking it.
It's what I want to say, and it's fun to say it. And it might even be true.
Are you like this with everyone you meet?
Hell no. Very few people I meet look like you.
No, I mean, are you always so blunt?
Well, it depends on the setting.
The setting.
Yeah. I wouldn't dream of having this conversation at the gym, or at a party, or anywhere where there are other people. But you?
Certainly not.
See, that's what I like about times like this. You have somebody all to yourself, nobody's around, find them attractive. If you're both homosexual, you can pretty much just say what you want. There's no pretense, you don't have to be polite.
I'm trying to be polite.
You asked me if I was a hustler, was that polite?
I guess not.
Do you live alone?
None of your business, and why do you want to know?
Wishful thinking. I kind of want you to live alone for the next 2 or 3 years.
Why?
Because if I can't have you now, I'll get you later. When I'm old enough. What?
This has gone as far as it's going to go.
So soon?
I'm afraid I'm starting to enjoy the flattery.
Well, if you got out of those gross corduroys into a tight pair of Levi's, you might be flattered more often.
And what makes you so sure that's what I want?
What do you want?
I don't know.
You want your friend to come back, right? That's something.
Lenny? I'm not even sure about that anymore. He became a habit I thought I should have. Have you ever dated anyone?
Not for any length of time.
Never had any schoolboy crushes?
On the 2 Johnnies. Weissmuller and Sheffield.
Movie stars don't count.
Yes, alright, yes, I had a crush. On a guy I thought was a schmuck.
What made him a schmuck?
He wasn't responding when I wanted him to.
Oh, so that made him a schmuck. Who was it?
Why do you want to know?
I just wondered if it was any of the guys at the Y.
I don't know you well enough to tell you that. Maybe when I get to know you better.
If you got to know me better, I wouldn't want to know. I have what is known as a jealous streak.
Is that bad? Doesn't everybody get a little jealous?
I don't know about everybody, do you?
Yeah.
When?
When someone else is getting someone I want. Isn't that when everybody gets a little jealous? Aren't you wondering who's kissing what's-his-face, Lenny? Do you wonder who's kissing him now?
Most likely his wife.
He's married? So young.
With 2 kids who's married at 16.
And you call me precocious. You think people would be more careful.
Was your mother careful?
I guess not.
Are you being careful?
What I do isn't going to get anybody pregnant, so what's the point?
The point is, we're not considered normal, and it's against the law.
Oh, fuck the law. The law is a goddamn lie. What harm am I doing by having sex with somebody?
Oh, you're too young to know even what the hell you're talking about.
Why am I enjoying it so much? It's my body. I'm not harming anybody with it.
You might just have a very sorry road ahead of you with that attitude.
And you have a very sorry road behind you already, don't you?
No, I don't.
You let that beautiful body of yours go unused for what, 19, 20 years? That's criminal. Selfish, if you ask me. And then what? What do you take up? A man with 2 kids and a wife? Couldn't you do any better than that?
It's my body, isn't that what you just said? And you do what you want with
But
it.
you haven't been doing what you want with it. You've been doing what others want with it. The whole abstinence thing. Until 2 years ago. And you're not even Catholic.
Why the hell do you give a damn what I do?
Because you're the schmuck at the gym I had a crush on. Oh, I knew I shouldn't have said that.
I guess not.
Where are you going?
Gene, the flattery was nice. A crush?
I'm allowed.
Yes, you are. I'm not. You don't even know me.
Since when do you have to know somebody to have a crush on them? It happens all the time.
Not to me.
Maybe that's part of the problem.
Look, don't go through life thinking you can pounce on whatever you want. The world isn't like that.
It is if you know when and where to pounce.
You're dangerous, Mr. Bonacore, so very dangerous.
No, I'm not. Anything but.
I must ask you to do something for me.
Okay, what?
If you see me at the gym, if you see me on the street, if you see me anywhere, don't talk to me. Don't acknowledge my existence.
I can do that. No problem.
Thank you.
"40 minutes. He's been here for 40 minutes. Not bad. Not bad at all.
I walked away from a 16-year-old boy in sheer fear. Sweating. I was sweating on a clear, crisp October day. My shirt was soaked, but I had walked only a block, if that, before I realized I missed him. I was old enough to be his father. A week later, I was back looking for him, hoping the weather would stay balmy enough to keep him on that bench.
You were such hard work. Worth every effort, but hard work nonetheless.
I tried to talk myself out of going back to the bench, but in that week I didn't see him. I thought of nothing else. And I hated myself for it. I felt weak. I deliberately avoided going to the Y, told myself he probably wouldn't keep his promise to avoid me, that he might even deliberately embarrass me. Then I realized I was more concerned that he would avoid me.
That would have been impossible.
I went back to the park. Same time, same bench. He said,
"Hey, Fred, how have you been?"
the self-assured little stinker was expecting me, and I realized he was expecting me. Okay. You?
If you're wondering about Lenny,
I'm not wondering about Lenny.
probably best.
Let's get one thing straight.
Oh, is this going to be a pun? I hate puns.
We're not going to bed. Understand?
Probably best.
I have to protect myself.
Oh, yes, you do. Of course you do. So, how's the zipper business?
Well, what can I say? The world will always need zippers.
And the magnificent men who sell them.
Yeah.
I had given up prayer when I left St. Monica's, but I made an exception by saying a daily prayer to St. Jude that he would return. Good old St. Jude, patron saint of the hopeless, the impossible. Maybe God gave him hell for getting Freddie back to me.
Freddie. I actually allowed him to call me Freddie. He said Fred was too short, too...
Abrupt. The shorty wasn't enough. Freddie, as opposed to Fred.
The kid had a musical ear.
And a wonderful sense of rhythm. Go with me.
Oh, I've never seen a foreign film.
Oh, come on. You'll enjoy it and you'll like it and it's free.
The kid knew every free cultural event in the city. So many things were free, I had no idea. What's the title?
It's a Japanese film. Ugetsu. My friends refer to it as Ugetsu, girl.
I don't speak Japanese.
Who does?
Oh, all right.
Eugenio. Bon Corso.
Yes,
You've grown.
it happens. Do I know?
You don't recognize me, do you?
Oh, my Sister Regina.
Ange, yes.
Does Father Farrell know you're running around dressed like that?
Well, it's no longer Sister Regina Ange.
You're kidding. What is it now? Hitler?
Very funny. I'm back to being, well, it doesn't matter.
You left the convent?
Looks that way, doesn't it?
I didn't even know you could do that. I thought they burned you at the stake or something.
Those days are gone.
What a shame. Why'd you leave, if you don't mind my asking?
I realized I didn't belong there.
I could have told you that.
Quick-witted, I see. It looks like the Jews have gotten to you.
Oh, yeah.
So, where is your friend today?
It's really amazing how in an instant the simplest sentence can suddenly arouse the most negative feelings.
What friend?
The man I've seen you talking to here so often.
Funny, I never noticed you here before. What are you doing in the neighborhood so often?
I work over there at the Archdiocese.
I never go to the cathedral. Do you like it there?
Yes, so your friend is...
My big brother.
That's very funny, Eugenio.
Don't call me that. Don't ever call me that again.
But that's your name.
But you make it sound like a curse.
You really think so? Do you expect me to believe that man is your big brother?
My big brother. You've heard of Big Brothers? It's over on Van Pelt Street. They take boys and find big brothers for them. Fatherless boys.
Oh, I was good on my feet.
That's a fine idea.
So I thought,
So how long has he been your big brother?
About a year.
What is it over there at Big Brothers? Catch as catch can.
What does that mean?
Couldn't they have found you a big brother who's Catholic?
How do you know he's not Catholic?
Because he has the map of Israel all over his face.
Do you have a problem with Jews, too? Are you going to tell me you were once chased down the street by a pack of Jews?
No, but I think that someone of your own age would be better off with someone of your own kind, your own religion.
But I'm a senior at Central High, remember? Don't you remember your prediction? There is a certain boy. Your prediction about me came true. I've already spent 3 years cavorting with Jews and communists. I left behind what you call my religion, my kind, 3 years ago.
I am very sorry to hear that.
You're sorry to hear that?
Yes, of course.
Oh, you're so full of shit. You
Oh.
hated me.
Don't do that. Don't you dare do that.
You don't scare me anymore.
oh, like prison sentences loomed. She scared me a great deal. Her presence was the last thing I wanted to see ever.
And I couldn't do anything to help.
Why are you sitting there? Don't you have work to do?
I think your immortal soul might be more important.
I left my soul in your classroom 3 years ago, and you were welcome to it.
We never forget about anyone.
But you're not a nun anymore.
Just because I removed the habit of the cloche doesn't mean I removed the religion. Every soul counts in the eyes of God.
What makes you think I'm going to sit here long enough to listen to what you have to say about my soul?
I have a duty to perform. I could go to your home and have a conversation with your mother. Does she know your big brother is a Jew?
Going to my home, the very last thing I wanted.
My mother is too busy working, okay? She wouldn't care if my big brother were a full-blooded orangutan.
You mean she doesn't know about your big brother?
She knows.
Of course she didn't know. My mother was always too busy working to even know what I was doing. I had enormous freedom.
That was a terrifying day for me, being waved away like that.
Well, what else could I do? She would have devoured you in seconds.
At first I thought she might be a relative.
Oh, yeah, sure. My few aunts and uncles on the Parkway of Philadelphia. The only place they might have gone to, the one place I never went to was the cathedral. I don't think any one of them ever set foot in that place. We were not a cultured family, and we sure as hell weren't a religious one.
The offices for the archdiocese were right behind the cathedral.
Yeah.
That's where I always parked the car. I bet she saw the...
Yeah, the Jewish star that you kept on the dashboard.
You gave me that thing.
Well, something had to take the pressure off poor old St. Christopher.
How do you know he's not Italian? I know plenty of Italians who look like him.
I doubt if there are many men of any nationality who look like him.
Oh.
That was the moment I knew I couldn't walk away from her.
Are you sure it's my soul you're interested in?
I beg your pardon.
Never mind.
Oh, I didn't have the guts to ask her outright if she had the hots for you, Freddie.
What is the strange effect I have on Catholics?
What if I said you're wrong, that he is Italian?
You'd be lying.
How would you know that?
Because he has the Star of David on his dashboard.
How long have you...
How naive these people can be. Does he honestly think he's not being watched? Really? Maybe this is a sign from God. Of course. I've been watching him for weeks with his friend, oh well. But why the sudden change in clothes?
Look at you! Turn around. Turn around. Oh my God, you look wonderful. How do you feel?
Restricted. These damn things are tight.
Yeah, but look what they do for your ass.
I can't see my ass.
Everybody else can.
You're not supposed to be looking at my ass. I never thought I would go out in public in dungarees.
You never thought you'd go out in public with
A 17-year-old boy, a senior in high school. I thought nothing of it until he showed up without one of his very respectable suits.
We'd gone through the seasons, from corduroys to seersucker to dungarees. He looked best in Levi's.
What a great surprise. I never thought you'd do this. Come on, let's go.
Where?
Leon's, I told you.
I forgot.
Well, he's expecting us. I've got work to do.
I'm going to be immortalized.
Again. There wasn't one friend of yours I didn't like.
Yes, they were an amazing lot, weren't they? But you were afraid to meet them, remember?
I was worried about what the hell they would think of me, the age difference.
Oh, they were my friends. We didn't live in a world of age differences, only common interests.
I learned that fast enough. I had a lot of catching up to do. I knew nothing well, anything.
There is certainly a great deal to learn along the parkway that stretches beyond the cathedral. But not one of its museums, its schools, its institutes of science contains a single piece of information that can help me handle this challenge. His big brother. It's probably a phase. Whatever it is, I can only rely on my faith, my religion, to do what must be done.
I relied on my friends as much as I depended on oxygen. None of them cared what you were, what nationality, what combination of nationalities, what religion. As long as you weren't destructive.
How do I break this down in such a way that it can't be reassembled? Tricky business, Sin.
It was unclear as to what she wanted, what she had to destroy, or what had to be maintained. It was certainly more than she was willing to reveal.
Thank goodness I don't have to concern myself with specifics. Sin covers a very broad spectrum, and sin is certainly enough of a foundation to get me through this horror.
Sin. If anything saved me, it was sin itself.
What a horrible age.
Discovering my own body.
To teach.
Knowing how it felt.
When they were just starting
How it was supposed to feel.
discover all we had warned them about since
And
first grade.
For me, it was...
They never listened. Too many of them just wouldn't listen.
bliss. For me, it was sheer bliss.
Do you think Leon would mind if I ate some of this?
I don't think Leon would deny you anything. Besides, you have 15 minutes before he gets back. He might not notice that it's missing.
Oh, he'd notice, all right. He knows where every shape and shadow and line and color is. Whatever. I'll leave it. It might throw his eye off or something.
How many friends have you posed for?
3 or 4. I'm not counting.
And you don't charge them?
They can barely afford to eat.
You could probably model at the art school when you're old enough, that is.
I couldn't do that. I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that.
Why not?
For your friends, that's one thing. Strangers? No, I couldn't do that.
Strangers see you naked at the gym.
Yeah, but those are men. I wouldn't feel comfortable posing in front of women. That's the first time you touched me.
Yeah.
Feels good.
I had no idea someone's skin could be so smooth, so soft.
It's all in the genes.
Why did you stop trying to get me into bed?
Because you said no sex. And I knew if I pressed the issue, you would run away. And I liked having you around, and having you around became more important than sex.
Can I change my mind?
You betcha. If someone told me I was going to wait 18 months for that, I would have said they were nuts.
We met about 7 months ago.
Yeah, but I had a crush on you long before that, remember?
Oh, yeah.
You ran away. I don't want to do anything that would make you run away again.
I'm not going anywhere.
To this day, I still don't know how I kept my hands off him all that time. Self-control was not one of my strong suits. He had no trouble controlling himself until he saw me pose. Yet he had seen me at the gym. I still can't figure out what the difference is. Maybe it was the fruit basket.
Have you been paying close attention to your studies?
Did you think I was carrying the books around for exercise?
And your music, have you continued with that?
Oh, well, my wonderful sense of rhythm had gone by the wayside. Why the hell did she care anyway?
Why do you come here so often, Eugene?
I like the light.
The light.
I like the way the light bled through the trees, the way it danced on the ground in the breeze. But most of all, I like the fact that I almost always had this place to myself.
Wouldn't you be more comfortable studying at home?
I never studied at home.
Really, why not?
I lost the feeling of being welcomed in the neighborhood where my house was located. She saw to that.
I have no recollection of having done any such thing.
I wasn't about to remind her.
Oh yes, your parentage.
She didn't need to be reminded.
That was the problem, wasn't it? Your parentage?
Only for you.
Oh no, for the entire neighborhood.
Why was she the first one to mention it? She just arrived in the neighborhood.
I did not make a major issue of it.
Well, it became a major issue in no time at all.
Well, maybe there was a reason for that.
She almost succeeded in destroying all that the nuns that she had followed had given me. Almost.
Oh, I doubt that.
They at least made me feel that I belonged there, and at times I actually felt useful.
Oh yes, those trips to the bank with the deposits. Impeccably neat Eugenio in his beautiful white shirts and handsome leather school bag that concealed a whole lot of money. What a pretty picture.
I am not wearing brilliant white shirts anymore, and there's no school bag full of money.
But I'm still pretty as a picture.
Yes, even I have to admit that you are turning into a very handsome young man.
Thanks. But what does this have to do with saving my immortal soul?
We'll get to that soon enough.
Oh, Lord.
So your big brother is your only friend?
No.
Don't you have friends your own age?
Yes.
Negro friends?
A few. What is this about?
Oh, Freddie, I could see your head twitching and snapping every time she asked one of her dumbass questions.
I had no idea what the hell was going on, whether I should stay or go.
Well, I certainly didn't want you to go, but I was worried about your staying, that she would see you, or that you would come over and she would start asking you questions about big brothers.
I never set foot in that place.
Well, neither did I, but you didn't know that. Do I have Negro friends?
Any Negro girlfriends?
What is that supposed to mean?
I just want to know if you're dating girls of your own race.
What race is that? I'm a combination of more than one race.
Don't kid yourself. There's no question about it. You're a Negro.
You were gonna say nigger, weren't you? You were. Why don't you just leave here?
Why don't you?
Because I've already given up a whole neighborhood, and I'm not giving up any more places to you. I come here when the weather's nice. I come here because very few people come here. I think of it as my little place in an ugly world you helped create. And I need this. So why don't you just go back to work over there at the Archdiocese?
I am working.
Making people miserable, that's your job?
Seeing that people keep their place, that's my job.
I had no idea what you meant by that. Control over a classroom full of students, that I could understand. But control over people? That seemed preposterous.
Why do you find that so difficult to believe?
Nuns have no power.
I am not a nun any longer.
And a woman of the world has even less. At least none of the women I knew did.
There is work that has to be done.
Oh, what work?
Liaison work.
Liaison was a word that had not yet entered my permanent vocabulary.
Liaison? What does that mean?
I don't think you need to know that just now.
If ever.
Why are you being so vague? Why are you even here?
Eugene.
Couldn't you just call me Jean, like everybody else? Or just forget my name altogether?
That would be very hard to do.
I haven't seen you in over, 3 years? Why do you pick now to bother me?
I really didn't expect to run into you.
Couldn't you have just kept on walking?
No. Oh, no. I am much too concerned with your future to even think of not stopping to talk to you.
That's the least thing that I wanted, was to have her paying any attention to me whatsoever, especially since she was directly connected to the Archdiocese.
We will always remain concerned. Jean.
Oh, my name. Finally, a small concession.
It's the least I can do.
Yes, yes it was.
So I think it would be best if you found your own particular tribe.
Where would they be, that tribe of mine?
Negroes are very color conscious.
That would certainly make you a Negro, wouldn't it?
It's not the same. I do not perceive color the way a Negro would.
You might be better off if you did.
Oh, I doubt that. Look, I am just trying to help you.
I don't see how.
You and your mother are still living in the same house. Is that right?
Yeah. It's almost paid off. She's worked hard for that house.
I imagine she has, and I expect that you will inherit the house when she dies.
My mother's not even 40 years old yet.
Quite honestly, now, don't you think that you and your mother would be happier in another neighborhood?
Yeah, that's why I spend so much time in this neighborhood. But I don't see what that has to do with my mother.
I couldn't believe what I was hearing.
I kept watching the back of your head every time it twitched. I thought for sure you would jump up and say something.
You're a nun.
Not anymore.
It used to be.
When she said she removed the habit, I thought she
A
meant...
bad habit?
Yes, a nun. She was a nun. I used to find them kind of wonderful and strange and mysterious, sitting a few feet away from her and listening.
Why are you telling me we should move?
To avoid any future embarrassments. Don't you realize how successful, how popular you would be in a Negro community?
No, tell me. What would I do that would make me so popular there? Inflict my recipes for meatballs and gravy on them? What?
You cook?
When it's just you and your mother, you cook.
Even I don't know how to cook.
And why should you? You were always waited on by nuns who did nothing but cook.
Each of us had a purpose. Cooking was not my purpose.
I can't believe you did that.
Why so surprised?
I don't know anyone who's a good cook. My mother is a terrible cook.
So's my mother.
Then who taught you?
Sam, Jeff, Howard.
Okay.
That was mostly Leon. He always said, if you can read, you can cook. The problem is I never had very much to read, so I got all the Italian recipes from women in the neighborhood. Italians do not do recipes. I'd ask a very simple question. Hey, how much salt? Oh, you know.
Well, it was the best meal I've ever eaten. Makes me want to go get my own apartment, just so I could have you around to cook for me.
Oh, yeah? If you can read, you can cook.
That's what you think.
My methods were simple. When in doubt, add more butter and garlic.
I have always hated the smell of garlic, and there were so many Italians at St. Monica's. I never expected my purgatory on earth to be the constant odor of garlic. I arrived too late. It used to be a good, solid Irish parish.
With very few recipes.
Food is everything to the Italians.
Well, certainly not everything. It was the horniest, sexiest neighborhood of the city. I wonder if she sensed that. Yeah. They all did. They're always talking about sex, but only as something that you shouldn't do. The more they said no, the more everybody wanted to say yes.
Is it the garlic that makes them so lusty?
What does Leon pay for this place? About $35 a month, I think. He's been here over 10 years.
And no one said anything when he gave you a key?
No one said anything. All the other spaces are businesses anyway. This is the only apartment in the building. So no one's around at night or on weekends.
If I get a place of my own, it's going to have to be something like this. Non-residential. I don't want neighbors asking a lot of questions about you hanging around.
I don't think people would ask questions, even if it wasn't a residential neighborhood.
A teenager coming and going in a grown man's apartment.
But I'm usually carrying groceries when I come in and out of here. I shop for Leon, remember? He is lame after all. That's why he gave me a key, so I can help out.
Not so you could bring your victims here.
Don't start with me, Freddie. You're the only guy I ever brought here, and that was with Leon's permission.
I told you he wouldn't deny you anything.
Yes, he would. He would deny me being lazy, goofing off, not getting my schoolwork done. He would deny me that. He's kept me on track more than anyone I know.
And I'm jealous of that.
I'm not sleeping with him. I never did. We're just friends.
I know that. It's the positive influence I envy.
You don't have a positive influence on me?
Not as much as you've had on me.
Well, I've always had a soft spot for squares. And hunky men. Hunky squares. But if you do get a place of your own, that doesn't mean I'm going to stop coming here.
I wouldn't want you to. You're probably more important in Leon's life than you realize.
He has other friends.
But none of them looks like you, and he is an artist, and a lame one at that.
Okay.
I had the oddly comforting feeling that I was about to become a mate. And I was really looking forward to it. And what the hell? I was only 17 years old. just. And you can be insanely romantic at 17.
I imagine Negroes would like Italian food.
You're suggesting I move to a Negro neighborhood and open an Italian restaurant?
No, I'm only suggesting that you move to a Negro neighborhood, period.
I haven't seen you in over 3 years. Why do you care where I live?
Because it is my job to care.
Your job? I thought you said you worked over at the Archdiocese.
I do.
My mother and I live in South Philly. What does that have to do with your job at the Archdiocese?
It's not all masses and venas, Jean.
I know that. What I don't know is what our moving will do for you, or for the Archdiocese, or for anyone at all, for that matter.
It's what it would do for you that matters.
Why do you care about me all of a sudden?
Because you are most likely headed toward very dangerous territory.
And we should move?
If you stay where you are, it could become very dangerous.
What is wrong with you? I don't feel unsafe where we live, just unwanted. There's a difference.
Everyone has made you feel unwanted.
No, a few women on my block. Why are we having this conversation? Can you remind me? Tell me why? As far as I remember, I'm one of those savages that scared the hell out of you.
You're not nearly dark enough to qualify for that tribe.
But you want me to move in with them, and my mother too?
I'm surprised your mother...
Leave her out of this.
I was just about to say...
I don't give a shit what you were about to say.
I never saw you angry.
I know.
In all those months, I never.
I know.
It's so typical of you people to use that sort of language.
You bet your fucking ass it
It
is.
scared me.
That was the idea. That it wasn't you I wanted to scare.
It's not going to work. You actually think that you are going to scare
I don't want
me
you
with
anywhere
foul
near
language.
my mother.
Understand one thing, boy. I know exactly what's going on here.
What the hell are you talking about?
Between you and your so-called big brother, the Jew.
What about him?
You're supposed to be getting some sort of guidance. Boys your age need that sort of thing, so they say. It's not uncommon to go through such a phase. It's the next phase that concerns me.
And that's going to be what? The next phase.
You will most likely marry.
I will?
Certainly. This big brother business is all meaningless. Women are going to find you very attractive.
They are?
Yes. Look at you now. Imagine what you will look like in a few years.
You make me sound like some sort of threat, like a fire, a tornado.
That's exactly what I'm trying to prevent.
How?
I thought you were going to hit her.
I was giving it some serious thought.
No need to get excited.
If you were on the receiving end of this horseshit, you'd be getting pretty damn excited too.
I just knew you were in trouble when you started cursing.
Is your mouth always that foul?
When I feel it's necessary.
Well, I see no reason to subject me to it. I am still a deeply religious woman.
That's what I'm afraid of.
See, this is exactly what happens when your kind leaves the church.
My kind?
What did she mean by that? You were just a bright, good-looking, extremely precocious teenager.
Do you miss me or something?
I would if you belonged in the neighborhood.
I've been in that neighborhood longer than you have. I was born in that neighborhood.
And if you were to stay there, you might very well change its complexion.
I have no idea what you're
If
talking
you were to marry a girl from the neighborhood and there were only white girls in the neighborhood, then you will most likely have a black child. And what direction will things go then? Have you ever thought of that?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh. Yes.
The gentleness of that response was the most menacing sound I ever heard in my life.
And I have no idea where that sound came from,
And if we don't move?
or where I got the courage to do what I did.
I will simply go to your mother and tell her what's going on here.
No. No, you won't.
Why couldn't I just keep my mouth shut?
I was hoping you would.
And what could stop me?
What you think is going on here is not nearly as terrible as went on back there at St. Monica's.
I imagine your neighbors have treated you
I'm
well.
not talking about my neighbors.
Me, then.
No, not you. A priest. I'm talking about a certain highly respected priest by the name of Father Murray.
What about him?
I'm talking about the things he does with boys.
What
The
are you-
sexual things he does with boys.
You are what, only 16?
17, what's the point?
What do you think
Couldn't
that
you have
you are
ignored her?
doing?
Not at this moment, Freddie. No, not at this moment.
What do you think that you are doing, implicating a priest in such acts?
Implicating? Implicating his body parts to be described by me.
That was a lie. The priest never exposed himself to me.
And if you go anywhere near my mother, I'm going to the cops.
And I could do the same about your so-called big brother.
How would you find him? You don't even know his name.
There are ways.
So she didn't know his name.
What are you going to do? Get all the Christians together to round up all the Jews?
Someone has tried to round up the Jews. I'm afraid he didn't get far enough.
Shit! That's all you had to hear.
The only thing I could think of at that moment were my parents. My quiet, reserved, perpetually frightened immigrant parents.
I watched you back away.
What choices did I have?
None. I watched you go without watching you go. The last thing I wanted was to draw attention to your leaving.
Yeah. You sure knew how to keep her attention.
You are a disgusting, evil fucking cunt!
How dare you! I still consider myself a religious...
This won't work! Do you hear me? It won't work!
How dare you!
No one slaps me around anymore, especially not the likes of you! That's all so many of you crazy bitches did was knock kids around!
Yes, we did.
I'm not a kid!
Because this is what had to be controlled. Violence, your violence, violence from niggers like you. Anyone who did what you just did has to be controlled.
You won't go near my mother. Do you fucking hear me? You won't go anywhere near her, anywhere near my house. If you so much as walk down the street where we live, I will go to the police and make sure that disgusting priest of St. Monica's goes to jail. And then I'll come and I'll beat the fucking shit out of you.
Nothing you just did surprises me. You've only confirmed everything I've ever believed about you people.
What? That we can protect ourselves?
Know that every solution is a violent one. No one will ever believe a word that you say about Father Murray. No one! No one!
How right she was. Though I didn't know it at the time. Who would have believed a kid, especially a kid who deserted his religion, a kid who cavorted with Jews, communists, and men? What choices did I have?
And you took the choice I hated most.
Well, you were no longer around to stop me.
It wasn't in me to be courageous, Gene.
How long was it before I saw you again?
2 years. And then only by accident. I waited for you. In the park?
At Leon's, hoping that you would phone one of my friends, one of our friends. And then there you were, with a drink in your hand.
You were the last person I ever expected to see, sitting in a Times Square bar in a Navy uniform.
And you were the one who got angry right off the bat.
It was such an incredible waste. It was the last thing I would have wanted for you.
And all I wanted was you. And you disappeared from the face of the earth.
You think I didn't miss you?
Not enough to come back. Do you know what it's like to be in love at 17?
How the hell would I know that? I was stunned at finding myself in love at 31. But the Navy, did you really think the Navy held a future for you? How could you do that? Why did you do it? You had so much courage.
Oh, yes. Well, even the brightest of us can make disastrous mistakes. And courage fades quickly when you find yourself alone with your own thoughts. Remember how quickly you backed away once she mentioned the genocide?
Of course I remember.
You already assumed that they would win. The ubiquitous they, always the winners.
I was raised to assume that.
Oh, weren't we all? Just as you wanted to protect your parents.
I wanted to protect my mother. And I felt the only way to do that was to bow out.
Why did she let you? How could she let you quit school like that? When I saw you in that uniform, I felt responsible.
And so did my friends. Leon especially. When I told him that he would have to get someone else to carry his groceries, he slapped me. I never thought he was capable of doing such a thing, but he slapped me.
I would have done the same thing. The waste was unforgivable. You of all people remaining stagnant. Did you really think the Navy held a future for
I
you?
wasn't thinking. I was running. Fleeing. It was solving a problem.
That wasn't a life. Not the one I would have wanted for you, did want for you.
You're right. It was a life totally lacking in ambition, without a sense of a future, because I was too terrified in the present.
What scared you, Jean? What possibly could have scared you?
The power they would have over
All of us.
And even if they didn't, that was what we believed.
Look how quickly you returned to those Ivy League clothes, Freddie.
Once I lost you, I felt, I suppose, safer in clothes that said nothing about sex. I no longer wanted my ass to be of any interest to anyone.
Then how did you end up with a plumber? Oh, yes, I heard the rumors.
He came to my parents' home to install the fixtures in the new kitchen I bought for them.
Oh, you're the only gay man I know that ended up with a plumber.
He's a year older. He's Jewish, my folks liked that. He's solvent, and they liked that even more.
Look, he's a plumber.
Yes, and he's a plumber who goes to the movies with me, and the museum, sometimes a musical.
I hear he actually courted you.
Bullshit, he courted my parents. He's no dope. He never came to the house empty-handed. Flowers for Mom, kugel for Pop, and they never paid for another plumbing problem.
And they never asked any questions?
Not one. The only thing my mom said after Pop died and our plumber had been coming around for a couple of years was, Moishe is a good man. He'll look after you. You can't imagine how uncomfortable that made me.
Oh, yes, I can.
Yes, I guess you can.
You call him Moshe.
I call him Mo. My Mo, when no one's around.
I always liked the name Moses.
It has a very reassuring sound, doesn't it? Who's been reassuring you, Jean?
Over the years,
The usual collection of types.
Robbing any cradles?
oh, don't be ridiculous, Freddie. I might have been an adult molester in my youth, but I was no fool when I became an adult. Kids never interested me.
They never interested me either, just you. You were lucky you didn't run into someone like you when you became an adult.
You're right. I was dangerous. Very dangerous.
But a hell of a lot of fun.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Take care, Freddie. And tell Moses I said he's a very lucky guy.
I will.
The sound of that bell is no longer heard. Now a button is pushed, and the shrill electronic device summons the students into line. So few of them will remain in line. Over the years, fewer and fewer of my generation swallowed the lies we were told. Attendance at Mass diminished, and the complexion of the student body became more, well, colorful. But oh, how hard they tried to prevent that from happening. It was years, 48 of them to be exact, before I learned that the poor, misguided Sister Regina Ange had the sole task of working as the liaison between the archdiocese and the real estate offices of all the white parishes. They worked very hard to acquire homes when they could, and they saw to it that only the right people purchased or rented them. They weren't interested in saving souls. It was real estate. Still, no one ever approached my mother's house. No one ever suggested that she move. No one ever tortured her with her past.